evening, rather it's almost good night. It's wonderful to be here, and I was fascinated by such a beautiful campus that Nirma University is. I've only heard about it, but today I happen to witness it, and I feel extremely privileged to be presenting at the campus, which I've only talked about or heard about in the past. So let me thank Council of Architecture, the President, Abhay Purohitji, the Vice President, Professor Architect Gajanand Ramji, my namesake, and Professor Architect Jayashri Deshpandeji, Director of Council of Architecture, TRC Pune. I also see many familiar faces over here. I see Professor Architect Milind Kolegal, whose first, I think, job was with Professor Christopher Benninger way back in 1980s when he was a fresh graduate, and he came to work with him after his master's in IIT Kharagpur, right? Yeah. And I also see Charanjit Singh Shahji, very erudite person and an exponent in his craft of architecture. Professor Dr. Anup Singh Ji, Director General of the university. Thank you for hosting all of us over here. Professor Dr. Rekha Chandra Jetty Ji, you're full of life. An institute would always thrive under a person who is full of life like her. I'll also like to thank Architect Jitendra Meghani? Pardon my pronunciation, for welcoming me over here. I see many familiar faces, Habib Khanji, then Yatin Pandya, then I also see, I saw Parul a while back, then I also see Utpal Sharma ji, and lastly, I see architect Girish Mistry ji, who came along with me today. He was one of the first students of Professor Christopher Benninger way back in 1967 when he came to teach a course at CEPT University. So students, let me tell you, because most of you would probably have heard about Professor Christopher Benninger but haven't met him in reality. Many of them wonder why he chose to come to India. And the reason that he chose to come to India was to put his thesis into practice. It was his thesis that he did, which is called Sites and Services, which was done when he was doing his master's at Harvard University's Graduate School of Design. And it took him to Medellin, Colombia, to study the shanties or the slums or the favelas as they're called in Spanish language. And he studied them, and he found a way to house the urban poor. And that study brought him to India way back in 1968. Later on in 1971, he came and founded the School of Planning at CEPT University. So that were the very beginnings, which very few people actually know. In fact, he was the founder of the Sites and Services project. And that was a social project, social architecture. Now, friends, the reason why I have instituted this award or the gold medals, 4 of them in his name, is that he very clearly believed that some of the best ideas are generated when your mind is very fertile and in the formative years. That is why some of the theses that I heard the names, they're extremely, I would say, innovative, fertile, yet very relevant to the kind of times that we live in. I was very drawn sitting over there to read. I've written it over here so that it's easier. The vision of Nirma University, it says, shaping a better future for mankind by developing effective and socially responsible individuals and organizations. So I want you to focus on the word socially responsible. We all have given a tinge to architecture profession as if it's a profession which addresses issues of the 5% of the society. But that's not true. This profession must address than 95% of the society which can't even build their own houses. Especially when India is urbanizing, this is an issue. And I was very drawn to understand this socially relevant or say socially responsible. The word is actually inculcated in your vision itself. Thank you very much, sir, for that. Because I think this is a very important aspect of grooming students or putting the values in the education. Because all of us, we think about education as something that like we just take it, we earn money and get out. Second thing, I must also emphasize, as our president was mentioning, architecture is probably the only profession which looks into the future, right? We design the dreams, we design the futures. While you go to a doctor for a ailment that has been lurking in your body for the past many years because of your bad habits or maybe because of your fate, you go to a lawyer for fighting some cases, you go to a chartered accountant to kind of resolve your tax issues. But if you look at it, architecture is perhaps the only profession which brings in the joy, the ecstasy, the life fulfilling goals, and brings in certain kind of ideas of how you can beautify your future. So I'm reminded of 2 points which I'll very shortly talk about: inspiration and purpose. Let me tell you, these medals have been instituted to generate inspiration. Students, especially the 4 of you who will be receiving this, I'm not supposed to disclose the name. Can I disclose or I'm not? I can? Okay. The names of the 4 students who will be receiving the Christopher Benninger Memorial Gold Medal would be PORNIMA, KIRAN, Akasha, and SIVANI. You 4 are the torchbearers of this country for this year of 2025, having won over 700 other entries over a year-long process of shortlisting and long listing and finally arriving to receive the gold medals. I would like all 4 of you to come to the dais. I'll tell, where is the 4th one? She has to leave. Okay, Kiran was over here. Anyway, we'll continue. Now, young architects or architects in making, let me tell you a story of inspiration and service. Jonas Salk was the inventor of polio vaccine, and the Salk Institute was built by Louis Kahn, the architect of IIM Ahmedabad, which we all take deep inspiration for the modern architecture of India. Now, Jonas Salk, when he invented the polio vaccine, he gave it free. He could have patented it, he could have made money, but he gave it free. Now, how many of you use these QR codes? Do you all know the story of QR code? I just learned it recently last week when I was in Japan. I came to know about this story of QR code, which was invented by a Japanese person working on the project by Toyota. And he made it free. He never charged for it. We so recklessly use it now, so freely use it. And QR code has become the way we live our life, isn't it? Why am I telling these 2 stories is to understand how these 2 great men, they have invented something for the masses and gave it free to the society, transforming the society and making it better. I would feel that if these values are kind of generated in you as you receive these gold medals, because Christopher Benninger did many things which he felt were necessary for the betterment of the society. With these few words, I welcome you onto the stage and I congratulate all of you for winning the gold medal. Can I have the gold medals, please?
Come. And you can have a photograph.
You have won quite a few awards this year.
You have please come.
Come.
Come in this way. You are that one. Yeah. Come in this way. The gold medal needs to be displayed.
The books are heavy too.